Alan Orr is an immigration lawyer and the former president of American Immigration Lawyers Association. And I'm glad to say that he joins us now from Eagleville, Tennessee. Thank you for being with us. Now,
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Organisers of this march say they did so to, quote, protect our democracy, protecting what the Statue of Liberty stands for, and that this is a country of immigrants. That's what the organisers are saying. But of course, Trump was elected on such a depth of support for his anti-immigration policies. So do we not normally see these kinds of protests with thousands of people like this?
I think immigration has been a movement for a long time. There's been a call for immigration reform for the last 30 years. So I think the major change here is the way that immigration enforcement is happening, at the levels that it's happening, and some of the discretion that's not being used in this matter. So generally, individuals who have not committed a crime other than entering the country undocumented are not round up in this way and definitely not put in detention.
I see. So when it comes to Trump, he's been very outspoken, hasn't he, about his policies on immigration. And they're very strong, aren't they?
They're exceptionally strong and different. I think the answer that we have now, inexpensive, I think that's also one of the things that we should sort of say, that sort of rounding up everyone and sort of putting them in detention or flying them to other countries into a detention camp is not the best way to do immigration enforcement if you're looking at a cost savings.
Yeah, and the numbers here, when we look at this protest happening in Texas, they're very huge numbers of undocumented immigrants, 1.6 million. How is Trump or the administration going to deal with this in a better way or in the right way? How are they going to deal with this?
So, I am a lawyer, so I do believe that some people who enter the country should be removed through detention. So, removal is one of the avenues we have for removing people from the United States. The question right now is the constitutionality. Are these individuals getting due process? Are they being deported without having a court hearing? Are they being deemed something without having a court hearing? That's the line that we have in the sand right now for immigration attorneys to say, or for lawyers in general to say, is we have a constitution. And as long as we follow this constitution, then if someone at the end of the day needs to be removed, then remove them. But don't summarily remove people or put students into detention and rewrite immigration code that should be done by Congress, by yourself in the executive branch. And so there have been a large number of undocumented people here since 1986. So the fact that people are in the United States undocumented has not been a problem in the past and should not be a problem in the future.
Yeah, Alan, as a lawyer, what kinds of rights do people have if they find themselves, if they make it to Texas, for example, or, parts of the United States? I suppose it perhaps differs in different states, but what rights do they have to be there?
So immigration is a federal law, so it doesn't differ by different states. If you're in the United States, you can ask for asylum. If you're at a port of entry, you can ask for asylum. It's in our code. And if Congress wanted to change that, they could go in and make a rule and change that. And Congress is different than the legislative, this legislative branch, not the executive branch. So in our government, we have Congress, which makes the laws, which look up to the Constitution, and then the executive branch to enforce the laws. And in the last 20 years, only presidents have been taking action in immigration when we need Congress to do so. So therefore, our Constitution applies to all persons when you read it in the United States. So that is indiscriminate of whether they're documented or undocumented. They have the rights to assembly, they have the right to freedom, and they have the right to due process. And that was recently also reinforced by a Supreme Court decision about a due process in a removal case. So our Supreme Court has said they do have these fundamental rights. So they do have these rights.
OK, well, it's really useful to have your knowledge and your expertise, Alan Orr. We'll see what happens at this protest in Texas today, but we really appreciate you coming on the programme. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.